Okay, we're going to get started, folks. Good morning. This is the Roaring Fork Transportation Authority Board of Directors meeting for June 12th, 8:30 a.m. roughly. We're going to get started. I need a roll call. Nicole?
Greg Postman,
Here.
Jeannie McWeeny, Alyssa Shank,
Here.
Rachel Richards,
Here.
Colin Laird,
Here.
and Brandy Copeland.
Here.
We have a quorum. Oh, sorry, Aaron Zielinski. I just skipped over your name. I even wrote it down.
It's like, hello.
Here.
All right, thank you all. Up first is approval of the minutes from May 8th. Does anybody want to pull anything from that, or do we want a motion for approval? I'll accept either.
I'll move to approve the minutes. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'm going to go right into public comment. I know we've got people from public online and in person. If you want to make a public comment, please come up. I know Amy's here. As somebody else in the room would like, raise your hand or, okay, come on up, please. We give you 3 minutes. If you identify yourself first, Teresa.
Okay, I'm not sure if this is the appropriate meeting to say this at, but my name is Teresa Salvador and I live in Setang, 1122 County Road 106. And I'm here just to comment on the access from the old Pink Bridge down to the river. It's a widely used watering hole, fishermen's access. People still put boats in there. Big swimming hole. Dogs love to play there. It's just a great recreational place for the town of Carbondale, Setang, and people actually drive there to come and swim there because it's a perfect swim hole. So I know there's been a little bit of a contentious issue about RFTA owning this portion of land, and I believe that has been rectified. But I do just want to comment that this, as Greg probably knows, if you ask any old boater, pink to black, has been a boat access for over 45 years. I mean, it's just a common name. I don't know what you call that bridge now, but it's been boaters access, fishermen access for years and years and years. So by right of public access, that's one point. And apparently, I'm also speaking for my husband who couldn't be here, John Armstrong. He is aware that the latest survey showed that the river right settlement goes 30 feet into the river. So that being said, hopefully RFTA has that section cleared up, that it is owned by RFTA. We would like to ask you to act on improving the access down to the river. I know that Roaring Fork Outdoor Volunteers was lined up to do that. So it would be no cost to you if you could engage them in that project again. It's quite challenging to get down there. You go this way, hang onto a tree, go this way, hit the rock, and then you can run all the way down to access it. But it would be great if we didn't have to do that anymore. The route down doesn't infringe on the bulldozer access for ditch maintenance. So there would still be a way for the owners downstream to get their ditch taken care of without interfering with that access. And people pretty much self-police the area. It hasn't been trashy. It hasn't been a homeless encampment. It's just a very pleasant amenity for both Setang and all the Roaring Fork Valley users. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Greg,
Okay.
there is one online,
We've got
Sarah Strasburger.
Okay, Sarah, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Sarah Strasburger. I am the principal of Aspen High School. And first, I wanted to start with gratitude. So appreciative of the services you provide to our entire valley for affordability and even free in places. So really grateful to have your service. I wanted to propose an idea that I thought could actually ease some of the stress for people who are commuting to the high school and our campus. Obviously, all of our students and families create quite a traffic situation as they're all getting to the campus, and wondered about the idea of a campus connector where people could park at the intercept lot and there'd be a bus that would take them directly. I guess it would drop them at the ARC, just to mitigate. We don't have, like everywhere else in Aspen, we have very limited parking. It's a source of angst for students and families. And then we do have people that are coming from Snowmass, coming from Down Valley, and that might ease some of the people who are trying to all get to the campus. And so just wondered if that could be considered. And again, trying to get fewer cars on the road and make it easy for kids to get to campus. And so that was my only idea, and I appreciate your consideration. And thank you for all that you do to get people to their destination safely.
Thank you, Sarah. Before you go,
Sure.
I'm going to use my chair's discretion and ask a question. Is this a service that a school bus or school buses can provide, or are you asking RFTA to pick this up?
The reason we're asking RFTA is because the school buses really don't take a lot of high school kids. They take the younger kids and they have their specified routes. And the high school kids have some different scheduling. So the idea would be that running on the school schedule doesn't always meet the needs of all of our high school kids, because they might have a free period in the morning or they have athletics after school. And so wondering about the feasibility of a couple of those bus runs from RFTA. I think the reason students don't take RFTA now, they take it from town because they can pick it up in the city of Aspen, but anybody elsewhere has to go all the way to Aspen and then come back, switch a bus. And their complaint is, I've got my hockey gear, my ski gear, or whatever they need for school. So.
Great. Thank you for that. And I'm sure there'll be conversation about this at RFTA. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate the comment.
Thank you all so much.
Okay, I'm going to open this, keep us open for public comment. Amy, do you want to come up?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
I prepared a couple packets to pack around. I made 11. They're exactly the same packets that you guys saw yesterday. And I would certainly love for anyone in if there's extras, I would love for there to be clarity.
Great, thank you.
Any confusion about any of the documents. And I'm going to set a timer here.
Yeah, I've got 3 minutes for you.
Yeah, okay. Just so I don't run over that. So did everyone get a packet that needs a packet?
Yep.
And I
thank
also
you.
put a sign up here. It's kind of a fun little sign that shows the time the first Midland train came through here, the bridge where the DNRG and the Midland crossed over each other, the Crystal and the Roaring Fork coming in. And then this is our current, Garfield County tax assessor's map, which in your packet, you'll see in the cover, it shows that's the Garfield County. When anyone clicks on the Garfield County tax assessor's map, that's what comes up, okay? And it also, this map here is the same one. It shows where my property is, where Garfield County's right-of-way is, that was proven in 2017 in court that there is a right-of-way, not an easement. And I have an offer. I'm very grateful to Kurt and David for meeting with me yesterday. On site, it was supposed to be a 15-minute meeting, and they spent more than 2 hours with me, and I am very grateful for that because it's complicated. I did include in your packet the consent order from 2017. Thank you for giving me 30 days warning that you were going to build stairs on my private property, that it states in the Garfield County Assessor's map that it is private property, and was proven by the 2017 lawsuit that RFTA has a right-of-way and an easement. not private property, a right-of-way and an easement. And that was a recorded document that was from U.S. District Court. And thank you, Mr. Tadoon, for your part in that. This document, this consent order does declare that if we have any differences of opinions going forward, we will not go to court. It's very clear, we will not go to court. We will settle it with a mediator. We will discuss this nicely and with our neighbors and all the things that the access control plan and the RFTA board would like to see, that we are taking care of our corridor, that we are stewards of this land, and we are respecting the adjacent landowners. What else did I have to say? In your packet, I also, just for some clarification, I put in here the original deed from Fred Childs to the DNRG that was considered fraudulent by the courts. And based on bad section numbers, they were considered fraudulent. They were in error, whether this was on purpose or not, hard to say, but it was considered by the court fraudulent. So the documents that Angela gracefully gave to me, that you guys had sent several lawyers to Washington, D.C. to find, show that Fred Childs did repatent his claim in 1890. So the original deed that he gave that was considered fraudulent to the railroad was in 1887. He and Isaac Cooper had a falling out before they created Cooperton. And when this document was repatented, there was absolutely no reference to the railroad whatsoever. As a matter of fact, he claims that it's all his land with nothing given to anyone, and that's witnessed.
Okay, you're gonna have to wrap up. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, and I just want to say that, yes, there is still some controversy about what we, want to see happen here on my property with some stairs. This is my adjacent neighbor that has no river access and gates set up, and just the bottom line is that the courts in 2017, when we saw this in the courts, it went on record that RFTA has a right-of-way and an easement through my land, and that is clearly visible on all the maps from the Garfield County assessors and where I pay my taxes. So thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. If anyone has any questions.
Thanks for presenting all this to us.
Sure. Hopefully there's stuff in there that you can review. And if you have any questions, please call me or reach out to me.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got, I don't know if we have any other public comment in the room. I don't see hands up. None online. Okay, we're going to keep us moving. Do we have any other items to be added to the agenda for today? Would anyone like to add? If not, we're going to go to board member comment. And I'm looking at my board online. You'll have to yell at me if I don't want to ignore anyone.
Rachel.
Rachel, go ahead if you have some.
Yeah, just thanks. I apologize for not being there in person. I've had a little bit of a stomach bug, and I thought it would be best not to share it. And I'm on the upswing, but there is definitely something going around town, and hope everyone stays well. We have seen the approval by the EOTC and Aspen for the funding for the Fare Free experiment. I'm very excited about that. And greatly appreciate our Director Kurt's participation with the 21st Century Transportation Committee meetings. I know they're a bit burdensome on top of an already busy schedule, but it's really important for all the participants in that group to really hear a RFTA perspective and understand how very much RFTA is already doing. So that is kind of my update. I'd like to mention that the city of Aspen is going to be having its work session on the entrance to Aspen issue on July 7th. And that is at scheduled to be a turning point as to whether we proceed with a reevaluation of the preferred alternative, which could lead to refinements of that. It also could lead to a supplemental of that, or go through a new EIS, which would be slated to be about a 3-year process. And from conversations with some of the agencies in charge, we've heard it would be best not to mention words like equity and multimodal. And so I tend to continue to think that we maintain more of our community goals and desires by staying within the 4 corners of our original purpose and needs statement, which was very supportive of multimodal transportation. Thank you very much, and I'll be listening in.
Thank you, Rachel. Colin, and your next. Okay.
Given the comments, I was wondering if staff could come back to us on those issues to see what your take is on that. Obviously, there's some property right issues that we'd want to address. And then the whole question of service to not just the Aspen High School, but the whole campus up there. There's the hospital up there. I'm sure it's come up before, but any thoughts you might have might be worthwhile thinking about. So if that's something you guys can, whenever you have time.
Yeah, we'll provide a staff report for the
Great.
July board meeting.
Great, appreciate that. I seem to remember that there was, as part of BRT, a bit of a alignment of lights and buses at some point. And I just experienced it last week where I was on the BRT coming out of Glenwood Springs. We get to 27th and there's 2 vehicles in front of us. The light changes, giving us the right of way to make a left, but it's so quick, we got stuck and had to go through a whole nother cycle. Just wondering, is that like off the table? Does any of that happen? Are there any opportunities to do that? Because obviously any opportunity we have to increase the speed of the bus, it's to our advantage. Any thoughts?
Yes, so that'll likely be something I'll need to include in a staff report for July as well, because
Great.
it's a lengthy response.
Understood, understood.
We are working with CDOT to ensure that we get those signals working
And I'm
properly.
sure that's a long, arduous process, but I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Colin, Aaron?
Thank you. Mine is just more gratitude. First of all, there's some new signs that went up on the Rio Grande Trail about speed and e-bikes. And I've heard from several community members that those are appreciated and hopefully they're effective. And then just to, we're rolling out our micro transit in Glenwood Springs and it's killing it. We're already like beyond capacity. Like we need more little buses and more options. So I think we're gathering really good data, and I just wanted to say thanks to RFTA for helping facilitate that. That's all.
Thank you, Aaron. It's always nice to hear that.
Oh, so I think we're just calling it Ride Glenwood. Oh, for Steve's, okay. And then we have a new alternate. Steve Smith is going to join us as the alternate. And so he might be, actually, I don't think he's virtual today because he's had a conflict, but he's passionate about transportation. So I think he'll be a good addition.
Thank you, Aaron. And I want to thank everybody for their comments today. I did want to echo what Rachel said. Having Kurt at the Transportation Coalition meeting was really valuable. I think hopefully that's going somewhere. It was interesting to hear the conflicts on Maroon Creek with the school, end of day skiing traffic costing. I think the school traffic in the morning costs every driver about 13 minutes getting into town is what I think we heard from the consultants. So maybe there are solutions there, and I really appreciate Sarah coming on and making that suggestion. I wanted to comment also, as a commuter on my e-bike, I am seeing a frustrating trend where so many people now wear headphones or earplugs when they're on their bike or just walking down the trail. They are oblivious, and we're in town, and it's amazing. It's like, this is a problem because I ring my bell, I yell, I slow down, of course, but they don't know I'm there. It's crazy. and how we got into this thing where we do sensory deprivation while walking across a street or on a bike path. It's insane. It's like, what are we? Are we, this is like dark, these are like lemmings jumping off a cliff. So anyway, there's my comment for the day. Thank you for that. I'm wondering if there's anything else there.
I just had a quick
Yeah,
comment.
please go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to thank the RFTA staff for putting together the board summit that we had last month. I thought it was just a great day and we got had a lot of good conversations and I know a lot of work goes into it. So I just wanted to say thank you. And then just to piggyback on Colin's comment about, looking into some of these issues. I have had some conversations with Sarah that I shared with you about the school district and this campus commuter. And I think it really could be a way, not just to serve the campus, but also, the flyer, because I know it wasn't going last winter from Highlands, from the, Brush Creek Park and Ride to Highlands. I think, there's sort of dual purposes there that could be served. And you don't have to be necessarily worried about high schoolers or teachers getting on buses with community members because they're old enough and they can handle it. So,
Right, good
yeah,
point.
so I'm excited to look into that and possibly try something and see if it works to help alleviate traffic.
Right, yeah, I was a user of the direct Brush Creek to Highlands bus, if there was one. I think there was back in the day, and I really enjoyed that for easy.
Yes.
I wanted to finish the comment on the bike paths. Our bike paths are becoming multi-use. Notwithstanding the sensory deprivation issues, we do have cyclists, commuters. I pride myself in how quickly I can get to town on my e-bike. And so I'm riding it right at the upper end of the speed limit to get in. There are other people dawdling, enjoying the view and listening to the birds. There are people walking or running. We might reach a point where we think about striping or widening our bike paths and delineating lanes, only because commuters and dawdlers have different purposes to be there. And I just kind of think that we might come to that at some point. Thank you. Jeannie.
I want to make a comment, but I think Rachel has.
Oh, Rachel's got something. Oh,
Yeah,
Rachel, you want to tag on?
Yeah, I wanted to tag on. Thank you so much. The retreat was excellent. Thank you for bringing that up and mentioning it. On your comment, Greg, I just want to mention that I had read a book called The Gift of Fear, and it was about how to protect yourself and that, you shouldn't be afraid of everything, but you should listen to your instincts and be aware of your surroundings. And so the audio thing is really not having your earphones on while running is highly discouraged for women who are running or out there in terms of their personal safety. So it's not just the bike safety, it's become something that people are unaware of their surroundings for all sorts of hazards that might exist in their life. And that was really all. I just wanted to thank you and add that in.
Great, thanks, Rachel. Jeannie?
So maybe you can add to this, but I'm sure you've seen the news that there are 2 mobile home parks in the Roaring Fork Valley that are up for sale and they're searching for funding. And I don't know if this affects RFTA in terms of where we have staff housed, but this is more than 100 people who are in danger of, because well, they're in danger of losing their housing if they're not able to protect these things. So I don't know. I was really surprised to see not just the municipalities and counties that are contributing, but also private entities. And I don't know if RFTA has been approached, and I don't know if this affects our staff, but it might be something to consider. Right. And it's a really short timeline because they keep saying mid-June. I think that's tomorrow.
Thanks for that. And I did mean to bring it up and I skipped over it. But yeah, Kurt, I know we had published in our packet, Pitkin County approved 3 million yesterday. Eagles, I think, approaching 2.5. Is that right?
We haven't had a public session on that as of yet.
No, I'll zip that.
Thank you.
Aspen has come in at 3 million. Basalt's at 500,000. Atlantic Aviation ponied up $1 million. I know private donors have come in with donations of $1,000. Some girls sold lemonade and raised 27 residents of the park. So it's become a public-private partnership. And we had a group of the residents come to us last night and express their gratitude. And I think we were all tearing up. The gratitude that they express for giving them some hope that they're not just going to get booted out of their homes. It's 139 homes total. And that comes out to, it's like 65 kids and 100 and something, a couple hundred adults, all working in various parts of the valley. And I think that list they had of the various employers, which wasn't complete, probably did include RFTA, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, to my knowledge, we have not been approached to contribute to that. And I'm not aware of any employees that live in those communities unless somebody pipes up. I don't think I've heard of anyone, but that's definitely something this board could consider.
Right, great, thanks. Well, I think our discussions basically were that for bang for the buck, for locking up, deed restricted, affordable workforce housing, there probably is no cheaper way to gain access to units and bedrooms. And so we're pretty gung ho for it. And hopefully we'll find a RFTA employee who does live over there. Thank you. Anything else from the board? We'll have opportunities to talk about all this offline too. Anything else there? Okay, without further ado, we're going to go to the consent agenda. We've got Reso 2522 and 2523 authorizations to request CDOT faster rural operating administrative grants through, and see the difference between these: consolidate operating and administrative funding call for projects. And what's the difference with the other one? I'm not sure, but David, if anybody wants to call it up, otherwise I'd like a motion.
I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, with that in mind, I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you. Okay, up next, presentations, Maroon Bells, operational update. Can't wait to hear this from David, who's teed up and ready to go. Thank you. And then is Jennifer online or with us, or she's here? Great. Thanks for coming up. Join us at the table if you'd prefer or like, or yeah.
Thank you. So as a quick introduction, before I turn this over to Jennifer, as you're all probably aware, RFTA has been providing shuttle service up to the Maroon Bell since 1978. So we've been doing this for a good number of years. The service generally runs from Aspen Highlands Ski Area up to the Maroon Bell Scenic Area. Over the last few years, we've seen in excess of 200,000 visitors up to the Maroon Bells. We do have a reservation system up at the Maroon Bells for both parking and the shuttle service. That started during COVID in 2020, and that is managed jointly with the partners of Maroon Bells, including the Forest Service. But RFTA does hold the contract for that reservation provider. So that is currently H2O. The shuttle service that we are providing runs every 15 to 20 minutes. As I mentioned, we do have the reservation vendor, so we do manage that contract. And we do have two revenue sharing agreements with the Forest Service. One as a 65 cents per shuttle ticket that we collect goes through to the Forest Service, and then we are the pass-through for parking fees as well. In terms of the facility itself, just as a refresher, the Forest Service does own all of the hardscape up at the Maroon Bells itself. Picken County owns and operates Maroon Creek Road. Aspen Ski Company operates Highlands parking area, which is where the shuttle buses start. And Aspen Chamber Resort Association is the current host of the reservation system on their platform. So the purpose of this presentation from Jennifer is really to provide an overview. I know that there's been a lot of information out there in terms of Forest Service staffing, and that directly impacts the visitor experience up at the Maroon Bells. So I wanted to provide an opportunity for you all to hear directly from the Forest Service in terms of how that's impacting the visitor experience there, and the opportunity to answer and ask any questions that you might have. So this is Jennifer Schuler. She is Deputy District Ranger at the Aspen Sopris Ranger District here in Carbondale.
Thank you, Dave.
Good morning. I appreciate the time here today to meet with you and
Need a microphone, just
Oh,
so
sorry.
that folks online can hear you. It's really for the folks online.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate my time here today with you. First, I just want to start off by expressing my extreme gratitude to RFTA for the partnership that we have had over the years. As Dave mentioned, this has really improved visitor experience, having that shuttle service for the number of years that we have, through reducing traffic congestion, by reducing the number of visitors that are gathered at any given time. And we couldn't do what we do at the Forest Service without this partnership with RFTA. So just want to express my gratitude. Dave also mentioned the funding mechanisms that we have, and those are very important to us as well. And specifically in 2025, RFTA went ahead and went direct with Rocky Mountain Youth Corps to hire 5 individual interns to help staff the Maroon Bells. This is something that Forest Service typically takes those funds that Dave mentioned that come back to us from the sale of shuttle tickets and from the parking reservations, and we go direct with Rocky Mountain Youth Corps. Due to some of the processes and procedures and trying to get money out the door, we asked RFTA to support us by going direct in an agreement. So without that, we would not have had staffing at all this early season at the Maroon Bells. Another thing, just with respect to staffing, City of Aspen is also going to be supporting the Maroon Bells. They are moving forward with 4 interns for the fall. The initial interns that are present are only there through mid-August, and those City of Aspen interns will be there for the fall, which is the busiest time of year. So they also are going direct with Rocky Mountain Youth Corps to help staff that area. Overall, our staffing for the Maroon Bells is down by about 50%, even with the support that we're getting from RFTA and from the City of Aspen. One of the things that we've done, one of the changes that you'll see is that H2O, the current reservation contractor, is staffing the welcome station. So they're going to be the ones that folks have first contact with if they come up to that area. Our Forest Service and Rocky Mountain Youth Corps staff is also supporting that in early morning and late afternoon. And we're grateful for the contractor providing that help as well this year. Some of the other changes that we've had to make just due to reduced capacity is that we are not running our hydroelectric system, which provides power to the bunker, which is the restroom building that has the most restrooms, as well as the Maroon Bells Information Center. And as such, that bunker is closed due to the safety with not having lights on, electricity in that space. So there's going to be less bathrooms open to the public at the Maroon Bells scenic area. The other item that we are not running this year is the water system. So that is being closed down both for drinking water at the scenic area as well as for the faucets in that space as well. So what we're communicating to the public in partnership with H2O is that folks should use the restroom at Highlands before getting on the shuttle, and then they should also fill up their water bottles before going up to the scenic area. Some of the other staffing shortfalls have resulted in the bathrooms not being cleaned as much. So usually we're checking those like 4 times a day. This year we're only able to clean them once a day. We also have visitor information services in our district office, usually to provide information for the Maroon Bells. And this year we do not have any Forest Service staffing to provide that. We do have 1 CMU intern, and then we have some folks over at other Forest Service offices in Rifle and Dillon that are helping us support to provide information to the public regarding how to visit the bells. And of course, we have ACRA with the City of Aspen that also supports on that, and H2O as well. Let's see here, other changes that we've had to do this year is really just focus in on our contacts with visitors because we have that reduced presence. So we're trying to provide the public service that Forest Service is really known for by using our Rocky Mountain Youth Corps interns to do those cleanings and take care of trash, support our campground hosts, but interact with the public while they're up there. That's the operational changes that I know of. For RAFTA, from an operations standpoint, the shuttles usually go to the shuttle loop at the top. And because the bathroom is closed up there, that large bunker, those shuttles are now having to go through the day use area. And they do drop off and pick up in that day use lot. So there's some changes with respect to how people get on and get off the shuttle at that point. With that, I don't have any other information to share at this point, Dave. I just.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. There might be some questions.
Sure.
I did want to ask just about the volunteer, the conservation, Forest Conservancy Group.
Forest Conservancy, thank
And
you for bringing that
I'm
up.
hoping, because we've had these conversations at the county level, it's very concerning. We have hired 2 additional rangers deputized by our sheriff, just so we have more of a presence in the backcountry. But 2 people for a county the size of ours, including that area, clearly isn't enough. So we're at a real disadvantage, and I keep hoping that we can mobilize the volunteers who want to be there and want to help. And I'm not sure how that's going with the Forest Service, or if we should be trying to backfill it another way. And I appreciate the creative thinking with the city and with the Youth Corps.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you for mentioning Forest Conservancy. They are a partner in operating the Maroon Bells as well. And their volunteers help share information with the public about how to responsibly recreate. The Pitkin County deputies will provide some additional capacity to us. We did lose about 1.5 FTE in our dispersed program this year. And we still have 2 remaining Pitkin County funded dispersed rangers that will be out on the forest on the district. So I know that if folks want to support or volunteer, the best way is probably to get into contact with some of the organizations in the valley that support Forest Service mission, which is to work with Forest Conservancy, with Roaring Fork Outdoor Volunteers, some of those types of organizations who can help with putting people on the ground.
Could I just ask one quick technical question? If we came up with a solution for getting the water system back online or providing power to the bathrooms, is that even something we could do? If somebody volunteered to help, could they actually gain access, or is it just shut down because it's a Forest Service decision from a higher level?
That's something that we can certainly talk about. With the water system, this is something that's regulated by the state of Colorado. So even if that were to be up and running, we still have to manage the system in the way that's in compliance so that we're providing safe water to folks. So if that's something that somebody were to be interested in, we could have a conversation about that.
Great, thank you. Other comments or questions from, was it? Okay, thank you. I really appreciate the update. Anything else on this?
I have my hand up.
Oh, thanks, Rachel. Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for saying that.
Yeah,
You're very
no, sorry,
tiny there.
I understand it is so hard to zoom in, and again, I wish I could be there. I was just wondering if there might be a possibility of things such as LED lights in the restroom that are battery based and are not having to have electricity. And you know, the stick ups that people get for their walls and their kitchens and things like that. If we've looked at any alternatives like that, and I realize that would then be extra cleaning opportunities for a larger restroom, but it does seem. I'm just wondering. That was one thing. The other thing is perhaps we should have some sort of stash of hidden bottled water bottles in case there's an emergency up there or someone really comes down dehydrated and any of those volunteers want to and need to give someone a bottle of water, just as a public safety thing. I keep reading how often people left with 2 bottles of water and didn't realize how dehydrated they would get at this altitude. So it just, I want to make sure we equip our volunteers to be able to handle any situations. And I could be wrong, but I don't think there's really good cell service there for really calling in. And so whatever capacity they would have to call, whether they need ambulance or Pitkin County sheriffs to be there now, as opposed to the periodic check-ins. And then finally, I think it's important that we really document all that it's taken to keep this incredible natural resource running. I really appreciate the Forest Service's work constantly, and like everyone else in the room, I'm sure are dismayed by the cutbacks that you're experiencing. It's uncalled for. And so I'm wondering if we're really going to manage a report on this of what the cost and what the contribution is from others. I'd like to see the funding restored, let's put it that way. And I'm very concerned that, especially if the country continues to head towards a recession, we as local governments aren't going to be able to contribute in future years, 2 or 3 years out, the way we did this year. And there's a real fear that the federal government may turn back and say, well, look, you guys managed it all by yourselves, so you can just keep doing it. But when we take money out of our parks and open space budget, when the county takes 2 Pitkin County officers out, or their rangers, or things like this, eventually the well might run dry. And we're getting the similar type of request from almost every agency, almost every activity we're involved in, whether it's cutbacks to the money that's flowing to libraries, cutbacks on money that is flowing to transportation, cutbacks across the board. And so I just don't think that we should let it be assumed that this is how it's going to be forever, and that we can all afford to continue to do this. So I hate to be a wet blanket on things when so much good collaboration is going forward, but please let us know who we should contact and how we should let our delegates and even agency heads know what major efforts have gone into trying to restore and maintain this public amenity.
Thanks,
You.
Rachel. Okay, thank you for that. I really appreciate you coming today and sharing with us as positively as you could.
Thank you. I do want to mention too, to address your comment about how people can contribute. One of the gaps that I mentioned is this visitor information experience. And right now we're relying upon a student intern to answer phones, as well as our existing staff, and then volunteers over on the Dillon Ranger District, as well as the Rifle Ranger District. And we don't yet have a system here in the Valley to provide that sort of support through answering phones, which is not something that's on the ground, but it's crucial to get information out regarding how to recreate responsibly, how to be safe, conditions out in the backcountry, et cetera. So that's something that we're still looking to fill as far as a gap, and are brainstorming ways that we can do that.
Great. Well, maybe we could talk offline about getting ACRA or some organization like that that could help, that is usually answering phones. Perhaps they could pick some of that up. I don't know, but we could talk more about perhaps how Pitkin County could help with that, or we could do a volunteer campaign or something.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'm going to keep us moving if it's all right, or there's more.
I just wanted to add one item, just so you know. The situation with the Forest Service and staffing has been evolving pretty quickly, and we're working hard on the staff side to keep up and trying to make sure that the visitor experience is as positive as possible, given the constraints that we have. We are having conversations among the partners about what this might look like long-term and how we might be able to respond to it long-term. But I think Rachel's comments are well taken, in that the impacts of those, any solution that we might come to for long-term funding, I think needs to be considered. So we're working through that now. We don't have anything definitive to share with you today on that. But it is a constantly evolving landscape. And right now, I'm honestly not too sure exactly where it might fall.
Great, thank you for
Thank you
that.
guys so much.
And tell me the name of the volunteer call center. Is it a call center or what would it be? Who would normally be taking those calls and it's information about the Maroon Bells program or?
It's not specific to the Maroon Bells, although it's not specific to the Maroon Bells. It's usually each district on the White River National Forest is staffed up with staff. In the past, it's been permanent staff. We've had some seasonal Forest Service staff. We've used Rocky Mountain Youth Court interns as well to help us with answering phone calls. On our district, the majority of the calls that come in, which there's, I believe it's around 6,000, don't quote me on that, calls that we get a year, is answered by these folks. And the majority are Maroon Bells oriented or having to do with the permit system for the Maroon Bells Snowmass Wilderness permit system, permit and fee system.
Great, thank you for that. And would you be the contact for that if we reach out?
Yes.
Thank you, Jennifer. Really appreciate it. Okay, great. Is
Thank
that
you
it?
guys so much.
Thank you for coming. Really appreciate the update and come again anytime you
Great.
want. This is important stuff. Okay, Mid Valley Trails Program. Is Angela on? She's here.
It is. Should I just let him? Yeah, probably. Got a presentation.
You should be a co-host, so you should be able to pull it up.
Oh, I'm not logged in.
Oh, you can pull it up.
Here, let me,
Hey, Angela, nice to see you.
Good morning. We'll get started as soon as we find the PowerPoint. I'm just here this morning to do a quick update on the Mid Valley Trails program that RFTA currently administers and some staff recommendations to some changes to how that committee is currently managed.
You might have a better shot at it, Dave. My computer's not responding.
Are you looking for that?
The PowerPoint, I think you sent it to Craig. You might have it in your email.
Yeah.
And I apologize, I'm also fighting a little bit of a cold, so I did bring a few notes to try and keep my foggy brain straight.
No worries. Take your time. We'll get this sorted out. We've got a lighter schedule today, I think.
You want this up here?
No, I
You
want the
this
PowerPoint. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Never go back.
Is this the issue?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then I think you should just open up.
Just scroll through.
Yes.
It should be a PowerPoint, right?
It should be on the internet. Did you hit share?
I'm trying to figure out, because I've got
Which one to share?
You should do that one.
this one.
They were just stalling for me and I'm back now.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Jeannie's back. We can go now.
There we
All
are.
right, you're on. You're up. All right, Angela, nice to see you.
It's nice to see you as well. If you want to move
Yeah.
to the agenda. The items we're going to discuss today are the 2011 IGA between Eagle County and RFTA for oversight of trail funds used here in the Roaring Fork Valley. The sales tax revenue that Eagle County provides for mass transit and trails, the Mid Valley Trails Committee and their role, where those dollars get used, and the possibility of transferring oversight to Basalt, which is staff's recommendation today. A little bit of history regarding this program. As a part of the transition from the RFTA Transit Agency to the Regional Transportation Authority, each of the member jurisdictions put a ballot initiative on the agenda to request a sales tax increase to fund the RTA. In Eagle County's case, they put a 0.5% sales tax request on their ballot initiative, along with 10% of those funds being dedicated specifically to bikeways or bike paths. That was actually reaffirmed by an IGA in 2011 when we actually transitioned to an RTA. Eagle County collects sales tax in the Roaring Fork Valley from precincts 7, 8, 24, and 25, and then transfers those sales tax funds to RFTA to fund both our mass transit for the Eagle County residents in the valley, and to segregate 10% of those funds for trail programs within the Roaring Fork Valley Eagle County section. The Mid-Valley Trails Committee was originally under the purview of Eagle County, but RFTA adopted that committee back in 2002 by resolution. Their role is to help select projects inside the Eagle County section of the Roaring Fork Valley. If you want to go to the next slide. So how do we account for this bikeway tax that we receive? Eagle County transfers their precinct dollars from 7, 8, 24, and 25 in the valley, and then those taxes are sent to RFTA. RFTA then segregates 10% of those funds in a Mid-Valley Trail Fund line item budget that's reviewed annually by the RFTA Board of Directors along with the rest of our budgets. The estimate for the funds that go into the Trails program for 2025 is around $125,000. Just to refresh
with that.
What's that?
We can build a lot of trails with $100,000.
You'd be surprised at the work we've done. Just to walk you through the precincts so you're aware of where they are. Precinct 7 is Basalt, and as you know, Basalt is split between Eagle County and Pitkin County. Precinct 8 encompasses Elgeville, Missouri Heights, that portion of Eagle County. Precinct 24 is a combination of some Basalt, Elgeville, Hooks, Crown area property, and then Precinct 25 is Blue Lake. So what is the Mid-Valley Trail Committee's role? The Mid-Valley Trails Committee role is to work with RFTA and the RFTA Board to make recommendations on trail projects, trail studies, environmental documents. They are supposed to coordinate trail planning projects with RFTA, the town of Basalt, and of course, Crown Mountain Recreation District, Pitkin County Open Space and Trails, Basalt Parks Open Space and Trails. They are to cooperate on procurement activities with RFTA or the town of Basalt, whichever they are working on. And they're also supposed to participate in long-range trail planning with RFTA and the other valley jurisdictions. I'm gonna go ahead and move. Some of the projects that they've done, to Jeannie's point, is they actually did a portion of the trail construction from Emma to Hooks in 2006. RFTA applied for a Land and Water Conservation Fund program grant, and then we also administered that grant. Mike Herms was actually directly involved in that project. Since then, they've done more financial contributions to other programs. So they've participated in some studies with the town of Basalt and with BLM specific to the Crown trails that they have. They've also contributed to the Roaring Fork Mountain Bike Association projects. If you don't know anything about Roaring Fork Mountain Bike Association, you should. They're one of our best organizations in the valley for single track trails, for maintenance of existing trails. They're just an incredible organization. They've done some really good work up on the Crown that directly impacts Eagle County residents. They also have worked with the Roaring Fork Outdoor Volunteers to do some projects for maintenance, softening up of accesses, some other locations that needed some cleanup and general work. And then they have more recently been working with the Roaring Fork Valley Horse Council on some sign programs, some improvements for equestrian access, something that's really near and dear to their hearts, and to RFTA as well, because we like to have that multimodal use out on the Rio Grande Trail. They also worked with Eagle County and the surrounding communities to update the 2006 Mid-Valley Trails Plan to prioritize existing trails, new trails, and make sure that all of those trails tie to the existing infrastructure that we have to provide continuous access all through the Eagle County section of the Roaring Fork Valley. They've been a really valuable committee. There have been some challenges, if you can go to the next slide, to this project, and that's why we're kind of here today to discuss making some changes. The current framework of the Mid-Valley Trails is that they operate from March each year through about October. They start in March so that we can put projects together to bring them to the RFTA board for our, through our budget approval process. And in that vein, Town of Basalt participates in our monthly meetings, and the Town of Basalt also makes requests for contributions to the projects that they're working on that benefit Eagle County, Pickens County, all of the residents of the valley. We, RFTA, oversee the Mid-Valley Trails Committee, but the challenge to that is that we, RFTA, get referrals from Eagle County, but the referrals that we receive from Eagle County are really related directly to transit or direct impacts to the Rio Grande Trail. We don't necessarily see development applications for Missouri Heights or for the Hooks area or for those areas where Basalt receives referrals for those. And where that hurts our ability to really oversee Mid-Valley Trails the way that we should is that we don't necessarily see the pedestrian connections that could be made in those development applications for areas in Missouri Heights. So under Kurt's leadership, we had been tasked with looking at some of our programs to see if we, RFTA, are in the best position to oversee these programs. And under that, we have looked at Mid-Valley Trails and decided that we need to make a couple of important changes to how this project runs to make it better for the Eagle County residents in the Roaring Fork Valley. So what we are proposing is that RFTA continue to be the fiscal agent for the Mid-Valley Trails Fund, but that we switch from oversight of this committee to a participant in this committee along with Basalt, that we continue to provide the same technical support that we've been providing to the Mid-Valley Trails Committee or to the Mid-Valley Trails Program, and that we continue to audit the projects and the invoices that come associated with the Mid-Valley Trails Program. What we are proposing for change is that the Town of Basalt, who is part of Eagle County and actually has a Parks, Open Space and Trails Committee who looks at all of Eagle County, Pickens County for pedestrian connections, take the oversight role for the Mid-Valley Trails Program. They are in a much better position to pick trails, figure out how to connect to existing trails, figure out where they need to expand trails or contract trails, and that they move into the role of updating the Mid-Valley Trails Plan because it will better tie to the users in Eastside Eagle County, and that they use their procurement process to make sure that those projects that are being funded by the Mid-Valley Trails funds actually meet the procurement requirements of either RFTA or the Town of Basalt or Eagle County. So the next steps in this process, and actually we've been working through these steps over the last couple of months, is to review all of our current agreements between RFTA and Eagle County, look to see if we need to make amendments to those agreements to allow us to make this change, to see if there are new agreements that we need to put in place with Town of Basalt to oversee, take on that oversight role to make sure that we're complying with the Eagle County IGA between Eagle County and RFTA, and to bring those amendments or changes or new documents back to the RFTA board in July for review and approval. So hopefully this brief presentation, which I know a lot of you are not really directly involved in, helps answer some of your questions, but I'm happy to take any of your additional questions that you might have regarding this program or additional direction you might have regarding the changes we're proposing.
Great, thanks. Thanks for that. That's pretty clear between the packet and your presentation. David?
Yeah, just wanted to thank you for that, and thank you for coming in to our meeting, both of you. What was that, probably last month?
Yeah.
Three or 4 weeks ago. So, you know, where we are in the town right now, if you haven't checked out the Mid-Valley Trails Plan, it's pretty awesome as far as, you know, what's the scope of what's there now, and then what is envisioned in the long term. Like some of the stuff would be like just amazing from a hiking and biking and just trail user perspective. And I know that we're very supportive of trails in general, and happy to be participating in this process. the thing that we still need to figure out is, from a town perspective, is like the scope and level of effort that this is going to take from our staff. I mean, we're in a position right now, and as you guys know, we're in a search for a new town manager. We are, like everybody, being squeezed by a tax base that if it isn't shrinking, it's in real terms being diminished because of inflation and things like that and rising costs. And so that impacts a lot of things as far as what staff can do, even like getting outside help, et cetera. So what we've done, we had a retreat earlier this week, where we went and began like, what are our big priorities? How is that going to fit in? What do we want to make sure we're focusing on? What is, kind of not in the top priorities? And not to say this is high or low or anything like that. It's just that we have to make sure that our staff time in particular is, we can commit adequate staff time to do this right. If it's going to be transferred on. So I know from my other counselors that we're basically kind of anticipating, wants to see what the IGA would look like and see what the specifics would be as far as like kind of what this will take. What are some of the specific responsibilities and things like that? I know our planning staff probably has a good idea of it. I know they're enthusiastic about it, but we got to look at the big picture. Like, we have affordable housing we're trying to build. We're trying to do a lot of things. So that's, and I'm a huge fan of trails, and I know most of the council is, if not all of the council, users and enthusiasts. But that's kind of just want to give that context before we take on something else in our portfolio. We need to make sure that we would be able to absorb that and do it justice as far as how we program manage that.
Thanks, Dave.
Greg, Rachel has her hand up as well.
Great. Rachel.
Yeah, thank you. Just two comments. It does sound like a good plan that needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. I think it'd be important to allocate a certain amount of administrative costs to Basalt for taking this on of the revenues. And then secondly, just to make sure that the Trails Committee, the citizens themselves, can live outside of the town of Basalt city limits, but within those other Eagle County precincts that you mentioned. An example would be our Wheeler board, where you do not have to be a city resident to participate on the Wheeler board because you would have some expertise or interest in arts issues. So there might be considerations you've already taken into account, but I just wanted to mention those. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Dave, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, right? Yeah, I mean, we do that with some of our other boards. This would be completely appropriate if we did that this way, continued.
I just wanted to say it's no new financial impacts. It means the cost, the burdens would all be compensated. In other words, for the time that they took off from our own funds that have already been allocated for that. Is that how I understand that?
Yes.
So we're not expecting it to cost more, except for maybe getting startup sometimes costs a little bit more, perhaps. I don't know, staff time getting up to speed. But if you don't have the bandwidth, that's a good conversation to be having now.
That's the biggest thing is bandwidth. Limited staff. We've looked at what we could potentially do as far as headcount over the next few years versus, and it's just, it's not the same as it was the last 5 years. So we want to be very sensitive to that.
Aaron,
I would just, Glenn was experiencing much the same kind of budget constraints. And I will make the pitch that sometimes having a more comprehensive view of some of these projects actually will, once you get up to speed, kind of reduce some of the, maybe it might be more efficient is what I'm thinking. So, sometimes having that more kind of comprehensive, instead of like having to go back and check in, having all of it in one basket, sometimes consolidates and makes it a little simpler and actually a little bit more efficient. So you may find that has a fringe benefit that you didn't anticipate.
Yeah, reducing friction always, between the transfer of information and interaction. It's always an efficiency driver. So yeah, I hear you.
Our staff is doing better, so.
Colin.
Well, and I also wonder, in some ways, this seems to be an attempt to just clarify how money gets spent, that it's already being dealt with. but we really want to make sure the Mid-Valley is better represented in these decisions. So, I mean, it might not be that big of a jump. It might be things you're already doing, but now it's clarified with partnership with RAFTA about the role that you guys play and what your committee might do. So the role of staff might not be that much more than they're kind of already doing. And then it's much more clear about where we're going
Yeah.
to meet your master plan.
Right. Personally, that's what I would hope.
Yeah.
We just got to
Yeah.
kind of sharpen the pencil and figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do want to stress, I do think we've missed some opportunities to make some really good pedestrian connections, improvements to that because of the third-party approach that we have really to managing these funds. I think it's going to be very beneficial to the Eagle County, Basalt, Elgin areas if you have more oversight of these available funds to benefit all of the citizens that live in your jurisdictions.
Yeah. That's
And we
amazing.
plan to stay very involved. There are some really good projects in that Mid-Valley Trails plan that include some connections to the Rio Grande Trail that we want to be involved in. And we might be able to bring our technical support and our resources to those particular projects if we're able to get to a point where we can see all of these connections.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the trails plan.
Mhm.
I mean, even though it's 100+ page government document and this can be kind of dry, like it's like, oh, this is exciting. Like if that happened, like, oh, it's super cool.
It is very cool. And I do want you all to know, all of these documents are available on the RAFTA website. If you go to the Trails tab on the RAFTA website, under there, we have broken out the Mid-Valley Trails so that you can see the plan, the executive summary, which is a much shorter document and really gets to the point of what it's trying to accomplish, as well as our meeting minutes and the things that we've accomplished inside of that committee over the last few years.
Yeah.
So I encourage you all to visit.
Trails are awesome.
Kirk, go ahead. Way forward.
I don't know if this is, there we go. I have to lean. I just wanted to put a fine point on really kind of the issue here is that being that these are tax dollars that we're receiving from Eagle County, we want to ensure that they're being properly overseen, that the dollars are being properly utilized, that they're going towards projects that are intended to enhance the connectivity to the Rio Grande Trail or to transit in the valley, and that contracts are being issued in a way that are fair and competitive so that there's the proper oversight of these dollars. And I think what we've seen is that we're not sure that we've done the best job or had the resources to be able to do the best job in overseeing those dollars for the Mid-Valley and or knowing that these are going to the right projects that are providing those essential connections to the trunk line services of our Rio Grande Trail or transit. So I think whether it's RAFTA that does it or whether it's Basalt that does it, I think it's what needs to happen is just a higher level of oversight of these efforts. And that's really whether it's Basalt. I think the thinking is that Basalt's there. They have a better understanding of developments that are occurring, of project needs in the valley. They are an entity that could oversee these funds appropriately. But if that doesn't work out, we'll go back to the drawing board and we'll see how that we can properly oversee these funds.
Great, thank you. Now, this is just an update, right?
Correct.
You're not asking us to vote on, because if Dave hadn't shown up today, we could have just voted on this.
That would have been delightful, but not for Dave.
Okay.
Well, and just to be clear, I want to figure this out.
I know.
But we just got to
I know.
figure it out.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
We need to make sure that all of the parties, I do also want to stress that Eagle County is very supportive of going this direction. I should have mentioned that earlier and I apologize, but.
Thank you. Jeannie?
I'm almost reluctant to mention this because you say how cool the plan is, but it is a 10% as a minimum. Of the tax dollars that we send over that are collected in these districts, in these precincts, 10% needs to go to trails,
Right.
minimum.
Right, I saw that.
It could be more. I'm just saying, if that's a really cool plan. I'm sorry, Kirk.
But Jeannie, I think that your point is a good one. And that is part of our thinking here too, is that if Basalt, in conjunction with the surrounding residents, is familiar with these funds. They're planning these trails already. They are in a position to better leverage the funds against other funds, actually, to grow it and do bigger and better projects than if they are sitting in isolation.
So I'll just use an example of the way that, because it's similar on the Roaring Fork side, when we had Eco Transit. I'm sorry, the Eagle Valley side, when we had Eco Transit and we were in total charge of those funds, there was a year that Eco Transit said, based on the needs of the trail, to basically get them all shovel ready. If we could do the engineering and get them to whatever percentage of readiness for this trail going in, it would be really helpful for our future. And so we contributed from Eco Transit to the Trails Committee that year considerably more than the 10%, because it created an opportunity for things to fall into place in the future and to get all the engineering basically done on these sections. It was really helpful. So I just wanted to make it a little less hypothetical as to why you have this. If you have a really good oversight and a really good plan, you can leverage some funds and make it happen. So I'm sorry, I keep
Right,
spending
no,
your
thank you.
money.
That was actually a note of optimism and, if somebody shows up offering more money than you expect.
A reallocation.
Thank you, Colin.
We're not voting on this, but I just wanted to support the direction. RAFTA is a massive partnership. It's the biggest partnership in our region. And this is a great example of taking that partnership to the next level to make sure that we can achieve the goals that we'd all like to see. So kudos to everybody. I know there's questions to be figured out, but I think we're all trying to go in the same direction and make sure we don't miss opportunities to expand our trail system. So great stuff. Thanks.
And just so it's clear, the purpose of the presentation here today was really to provide you an overview of the direction we were looking at, make sure you were aware that we had this funding, it was coming through RAFTA, and how much was going over for this purpose, and to receive any feedback that you had on it before anything was solidified. I know that Angela has been working very closely with the town of Basalt and Eagle County staff on the details. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to bring those back to you here in fairly short order.
Are you working, with Michelle?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I'm glad we had the conversation here because I think it's going to be good. We just got to figure it out. I'm a big trail fan though, so.
I'd be remiss if I didn't just bring up my concern always comes up regarding trails. I'm not sure how close these are to the corridor, to the right of ways or anything like that. I always want to make sure we're balancing habitat loss with trail development because it is an issue. And I don't think it's an issue right here with this, but it's just a concern that always pops up. Let's make sure we're not intruding on someone else's trail. If we can. Thank you. Thanks for that note from the unspoken elk herd.
Yes, who will be moving off Kettle Creek soon, I fear.
Right, yeah, right. Okay, are we done with that one? Thank you for that. That was actually interesting. I can't wait to hear and read more about the trail program in there, what's in mind for it. CEO report is up next. Take it away, Kurt.
Okay. We do have a few updates that we would like to touch on. And I will be requesting assistance from our team here as well. But first, I want to just start with an update regarding our active grants that we have from the Federal Transit Administration. As we've reported over the last several months that we have had several grants that are frozen. We still have 2 grants that are currently in a state of being frozen. They are the grant that we received from FTA, the $32.8 million for completing the expansion at the Glenwood Maintenance Facility that provides for a transit center, an administrative and training building, and then there's also a storage building there. That grant is still frozen. We also received a little over $1 million from the RAISE grant program for a planning activity to extend the BRT through Glenwood Springs to the West Glenwood and I connect to the I-70 corridor. And that grant is also still frozen. We were though notified that a RAISE grant that we had received for the horizontal part of the West Glenwood Transit Center is not frozen. So those funds is about 4.8 million. Those have been awarded and are obligated, and CDOT has assured us that those funds are available for our use. So that's really the primary update, is that that 4.8 million has been confirmed by CDOT that it's unfrozen and available to us. So we are seeing, though, that a number of the grants nationwide, particularly from these grant programs that we do have frozen grants in, are becoming unfrozen. Unfortunately, ours have not been on the list of unfrozen grants yet, but it's hopefully a good sign that these grants are becoming unfrozen across the nation. So with that, we do have an update on our zero fare pilot for this upcoming fall that I'll look to. You providing it or Mike? I think Mike is. Okay.
So I just want to go back to, they're not unfrozen, but have you had any luck with any of our representatives making a call on our behalf? Because I've had Representative Hurd saying he was interested in seeing what he could do. And I just wanted to see if he was able to, not that they get anything done just because they make a call, but if at least we have them fighting on our behalf.
Yes, we've met with all of our delegation, with Senator Bennett and Hickenlooper's staff, as well as Congressman Hurd. All of them have indicated that they would make those phone calls. I don't know if I've received confirmation whether or not Congressman Hurd made the phone call, but their staff indicated that he would.
Okay, well, do what we can.
Okay. Mike, would you like to provide a brief update on our zero fare?
Yes, on page 20 of the board packet, there's a written update. And I know, Rachel stole my thunder. She kind of unveiled, some of the commitments. So, but we're definitely pleased and to report that through staff's efforts and discussions with the city of Aspen and meeting with Pickens County, Town of Snowmass Village, that we were able to receive financial commitments of up to $275,000 from the city of Aspen and the elected officials transportation committee for that program. We also, through subsequent discussions with other jurisdictions, we've also learned that the city of Glenwood Springs has committed a $10,000 contribution, and we continue to work with having some of those discussions with our other member jurisdictions. And as for how we move forward now, staff, we have our project team working through all the details now as it relates to just outreach planning, exploring data collection, as well as just the mechanics of communication for how we will navigate the past sales, and also trying to talk internally with our teams of what to expect. I know that we have chosen the time period of October, November, because our data shows that there is capacity during that time period. And as you know, it fluctuates during the day. There's still a peak period during those times. It's less than what we normally see during the high seasons. And so that is our interest, to see how reducing the barrier of fares can, what the impact is on the behaviors, and also our ability to handle the capacity that's unknown. So as Kurt mentioned earlier, that's the real benefit of having a pilot, is to see what happens, because we get data from other agencies, but we really don't know what will happen here. And I know that there is an additional comment related to this project. I didn't know if you wanted to speak to the response.
If I could just
Oh.
touch again on the financials,
Sure.
and then Dave can provide an update regarding the public comment from last month regarding concerns about security. I just wanted to note that City of Glenwood Springs also committed. Oh, did you already say that?
I stole your thunder.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I had to come out with something.
But just as a heads up, we're going to be asking the other Down Valley communities for contribution as well. So Basalt, Carbondale, Newcastle, Eagle County, we will be also asking for a contribution to this effort. So.
On the response to public comment, as you're all aware, at the May 8th RFTA board meeting, we had public comment from ATU 1774 regarding security concerns in relation to the free fare pilot. So you're aware, even before those that meeting, staff had met with varying transit agencies to discuss what their experience had been when they either went fully free fare or when they did have a pilot on free fare. So two of the primary agencies that we talked to are Core Transit and Grand Valley Transit Authority, or GVTA, Grand Junction. So some of the feedback that we received from them, Core in particular provided feedback that their incidents on drivers actually went down when they went free fare, primarily because there were more passengers on the buses during those times. So it was less of an opportunity, say, for joyriding. And it was a less comfortable place to hang out longer term. So they actually reported a reduction in incidents. Grand Junction Transit, they said that they didn't note a specific reduction, but they noticed an increase in driver interactions with people asking for directions and other feedback because they were new to the system. So that was the interaction that they noted, which was positive interaction. And they didn't say that they indicate that they saw any increase in not unwelcome activity, let's say. Even so, we have contacted our private security CPS to put in place a contingency plan in case we do see any elevated unwanted behavior on the passenger side. We anticipate that primarily will result in passengers not wanting to depart the bus at the end of the line. So at Ruby Park, we have CPS there consistently. We also have road supervisors available there. So we see that the Down Valley, primarily Glenwood Springs area, is the place where we would need to potentially beef up security if necessary. And that's primarily after midnight in Glenwood Springs when we don't consistently have road supervisors available, or that staffing is thinner than throughout the rest of the day. So we have contacted them about potentially putting that in place if we do see an increase in unwanted activity. So we're ready to move forward with that if necessary. And that's our plan at this point.
Great, thank you. Thanks for that. Any questions, comments, thoughts? I don't see any. Let's keep going.
Okay, the last item I have, I may just actually jump ahead and just note that we do have our performance metrics as usual in here. And thank you, Colin, for pointing out that one error. Hopefully that's now corrected in the report. So if there's any questions on those, please let us know. We do have Angela Henderson, who did want to make a comment regarding the Covenant Enforcement Commission and a request that we'll have of board members. So if Angela wouldn't mind stepping up.
While Angela's getting ready, Kurt, so I was looking at the WeCycle numbers for April 2025 in the Mid Valley and in Carbondale, and they are very impressive. So impressive that I wonder if they're accurate. I mean, they're over 10,000 in each community in 1 month. And we've never had that kind of we have never had that kind of ridership. And I'm wondering if it potentially is March and April instead of just April. I mean, if it's correct, this is wonderful, but it just seems like a massive jump in April.
Yeah, that's something we can definitely look into. We receive this information directly from WeCycle, so
That's what I imagined.
we can double check that.
Great.
If it's right, could just be the warmer weather.
Yeah,
that
could be.
people are
but-
getting out there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, so wonderful. Thanks.
but we will check on that.
Thank you.
It's just on.
Okay. On the CEC, they've asked me to make an update about the activities for the CEC. The Covenant Enforcement Commission is tasked with checking the 9 covenant areas annually along the Rio Grande corridor between Glenwood Springs and Woody Creek to verify that RAFT is actually managing those covenant areas to meet the requirements of the grant that we received from Great Outdoors Colorado. In that vein, we hire a third-party consultant, just happens to be Tom Newland, who's been doing that inspection from the beginning of time, to go out and do a ride over the trail for 2 solid days to look at those covenant areas, identify any new encroachments, building, et cetera, in those areas, and then report back to the Covenant Enforcement Commission, which is made up of our member jurisdictions, some at-large members, as well as the Pickens County Open Space and Trails team. At present, we're short for CEC members from our member jurisdictions. I believe we need a member from the city of Aspen, Rachel, and from Glenwood Springs. The other thing that we don't have is an alternate from each of the member jurisdictions that we need. So I wanted to kind of refresh your memories on how this operates. When you assign members to the RAFTA Board of Directors, we also request that you assign members to participate in the CEC. It's been our past practice that the same primary and alternate members that participate on the RAFTA Board also participate on the CEC for a 3-year period. We generally come back to you at the 2nd year to let you know we're going into our 3rd year to make sure that those same representatives are going to continue in the next 3-year term, or if you're changing over representatives, that you assign a new representative to participate in the CEC. This is a pretty important commission, and the advantage for all of you guys is it's only 1 annual meeting a year. So we would like for you to go back to your member jurisdictions, review who you have assigned to the RAFTA CEC Commission, and notify Nicole who the primary and alternate should be on the CEC Commission.
When is that annual meeting?
We generally do the meeting in September, and then we report to the board in October. We have been delayed somewhat over the last couple of years, but we're now on a consistent schedule. The other exciting part of this is that you're welcome to participate in our 2-day inspection of the corridor. We're happy to rent you e-bikes to come and participate, and we're excited to see that some of the board members have decided to sign up for it this year. The way that works is we start over at 2 Rivers in Glenwood Springs because there's good parking space available there. We ride the corridor and do the inspection, and we hope to get to Emma on that first day of the inspection. That's all an uphill ride, 2% most of the way, so it's pretty easy. And then we turn around and ride back to 2 Rivers at the end of the day. The next day, depending on where we start, or where we end the day before, we'll start that 2nd day and do the rest of the corridor up to Woody Creek, and then ride back down to wherever our cars are parked. My staff is more than happy to transport the e-bikes, to bring them back to the CMF here in Carbondale, to charge them overnight, to take you all back to your car so that you only have to ride one way, and do the same on the 2nd day. We'll also provide lunch during the ride. We generally pick 3 or 4 locations because we don't know exactly where we're going to be at lunchtime each of those days, but we'll make sure we end up somewhere where we can have lunch together. Tom Newland is probably one of the best historians we have for this corridor since he was directly involved in the original purchase of this corridor. And he gives us a history lesson every single year. So we strongly encourage you to come out and ride for 2 days with us. It's a great way to get out of the office and see this beautiful trail that you're all tasked with taking care of and protecting. Colin's done the ride with us, and we're grateful to Colin because he's really been helping us push to get everyone out there to ride the corridor with us. So Nicole is our primary contact for the CEC. Please reach out to Nicole. She's going to make arrangements for the e-bike rentals. She will make sure that we have comfortable seats, because over the 2 days, if you do the out and back, it's about an 80-mile ride. If you just do the normal ride, it's about a 35-mile ride.
The dates.
We're going to do the tour this year on August 21st and 22nd. And it should be a great, wonderful ride. Most of it is pretty cool. You'll need to make sure you have lots of water because the Cattle Creek part is a little warm. But other than that, it's a great ride.
Greg, Rachel has her hand up.
Rachel.
You're on mute, Rachel.
Thank you. I was totally unaware of this, and happy to be able to participate. I have to take a look at the calendar about the ride and also the September meeting to make sure there's no conflicts and I can make the meeting and not be upset with that. But what I would request is that either you or Kurt send this information directly to Pete Stryker, our interim city manager, and we will put it on a regular agenda to make formal appointments. That's about all I can say. I am dealing a little bit with a torn pec muscle, so I'm not sure I'll be able to make an 80-mile ride, but I'm going to be seeing the doctor next week and see what he has to say about that. So we'll see if that can happen. But I appreciate the work of the committee. I am roughly familiar with what has been the work in the past. And so I'll hope to get a little debriefing and come up to speed on that, but happy to participate. Thank you.
Rachel.
Okay.
Can't wait. I hope I'm here for that.
We already signed up.
I know. I always sign up for everything.
That's why we love you, Greg.
I must have thought I was already on this because it's in my calendar. So I don't know if you have me officially, but you can make me official.
We appreciate that. Rachel, anytime you want to ride with my trail staff on the trail, we would be happy to take you out and show you the section that we maintain and then get you with Pickens County to look at the upper part that they maintain on our behalf.
Go.
Great, thank you.
Nicole, you can put down whoever the alternate is for RFTA. I can't remember.
Not sure.
Okay, so put him down and I will join you on the 22nd. I'm committed on the 21st, but you'll have to tell me where to meet.
We will. We'll make sure you are made aware.
I was going to say the same thing, Nicole. Just put Francie down for, I don't know if she'll do the bike ride, but I definitely want to just put her in for the backup, the alternate.
I think you can do the same for us.
Same for us too.
Okay.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
David is signed up.
I just think we need to have a formal vote from our board. It's one of those things. So just again, send the information to our city manager and we will we'll get that done at one of the next regular meetings, can fill in the sheet.
Great. Thanks, David.
Yeah, in the past, we've typically not picked somebody, like Bill had me do it when he was mayor, and then Ryan Slack is actually, I think, is the one actually doing it now. So if that's okay, we would like to continue doing that just to kind of give other people opportunities. What are the dates of a term at this point? I don't know if that was in there, just thinking of election cycles.
CEC term or?
Yeah, CEC term.
The term actually runs just from January to December on the same calendar that RFTA operates on, and we make those three-year terms.
Okay. And the other thing I was going to point out, this does conflict with CAST. I don't know if anybody's going to CAST.
Yeah, I am going with CAST.
And also, unfortunately, those are like the 2 days that we have set aside for our on-site interviews and all that stuff for the town manager. It's like, I'm like looking at the calendar, I'm like, really? Why does everything have to fall in these 2 days in August? Like,
That's how
it's just Murphy, but we'll figure out how to get some coverage for the meeting for sure. But just, I wish I could do the ride, but.
We can always take you out at a different time. We're happy to take any board member on a tour of this corridor. Exactly.
I'd be doing the
Exactly.
same thing.
Beautiful
Yeah,
reason right at our back door.
Yeah, just take everybody out separate times.
That
I
is our
am-
office.
I am committed to the cast meeting already as well. That's usually a mayor's meeting. So I know I won't be able to make that tour then. And the other thing, just to keep bear in mind, our mayor's term is only a 2-year term. I don't plan that far ahead to know what else I might be doing. And Bill Guth's term also will end in 2 years. So we'll just have to see and maybe have to make midterm appointments. But a 3-year term just doesn't line up with our 2-year mayor seat. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll come back with some names. I'll get that for you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from you all for us? I think we're good. Okay. Was that it for the report? Is there more in here you want to share, Kurt?
Yeah, just Mike Yang always provides a nice financial report in there, and he does have a couple items of note.
Thanks, Kurt. On page 33, that's the start of the financial update. I do want to share or just point out a couple things. On June 16th, we will have the financial statement audit subcommittee meeting and
I'm so
welcoming Alyssa, Colin, and our newest member, Aaron. Oh, I think, well, Colin, you might be new too. I can't remember. Oh, okay. Well, and then we'll also be joined with Liz Woods from the county, Pickens County, and Anna Earl from Eagle County. And so that'll be the opportunity to take a deeper dive into the financial statement audit from 2024. And I know our finance team has been, normally that's a process that's takes a lot of time and commitment on. And even more so this cycle because the staff is also working hard and getting started on the ERP implementation project. So I just want to recognize Paul Hamilton and the finance team for all their hard work on that project. And the second item on page 34 on the bottom, I apologize for the name. It says 2024 RFTA annual budget document, but it's actually the 2025 budget document. And I just wanted to share that the RFTA's finance team, they put together the budget book. And this past cycle, they were highlighting not just the book itself. Traditionally, it was done in PDF, but they also utilized electronic platform through ClearGov. But as part of their process, they do put together that document with a lot of the standards that the GFOA sets. It's the Government Finance Officers Association. And they submitted that document for the budget, distinguished budget award submission from the GFOA. And we did receive notice that we did receive the award for the recognition of that. And on page 35, you could see a press release, and just wanted to read that. In that it says that, they're pleased to provide the award to RFTA. And in the second paragraph, it says the award represents a significant achievement by the entity. It reflects the commitment of the governing body and staff to meeting the highest principles of governmental budgeting. So in order to receive the budget award, the entity had to satisfy nationally recognized guidelines for effective budget presentation. And the main 4 points are that budget serves as a policy document, financial plan, an operations guide, and a communications device. So just wanted to share that with the board. And again, thank Paul Hamilton, who's back there probably working on something related with his crew. But I know that was something that I know David Carl, he's our budget manager, who's not here today. But he spent a lot of time trying to make refinements and improvements on how that document can serve the public. So just wanted to share those kudos to the finance team.
Great. Thank you and appreciate it. I'm just, I'm always so proud to be associated with RAFTA. I think you guys are the best team in the valley. I can just say that, and I'll suffer the consequences for saying it elsewhere. But I really do think RAFTA is the top team, and you've been doing this 19 years in a row. How are you going to top that?
You know, at this point, I feel like it's the hardest thing is that sustainability of level of maintaining that quality. And I do appreciate the finance team and their longevity with our organization. And I hope that they continue to just find ways to refine what they do and do it better. I do know that there is one more item on the finance report related to it's on page 37. It's related to the 2025 budget update, and it involves an update based on just our normal ongoing monitoring of the budget and priorities. And did you want to tee it off, Raul? Okay, and so one of the things that we wanted to bring to the board's attention is one priority project that was not initially funded in the adopted budget for 2025. And we would like to move forward to advance it at this time. And that project is the AMF, the Aspen Maintenance Facility Master Plan. You could see there's a background of, we included a background of this facility. But one of the things that I would just wanted to share that at the November 2024 board meeting, we did, as part of the 2025 budget presentation, we indicated, we had a slide that spoke to some initiatives that we didn't fund yet. And one of that was the roof replacement at the AMF facility. And so, however, since then, as staff looked into the issue, we determined that a more comprehensive review would be prudent to undertake before just moving forward with replacing the roof. And included in this, in the scope of work, as it says in here, we wanted to, part of that review, the comprehensive review, would include the analysis on the current and future needs of that facility. As you know, we spent a lot of money in, right now upgrading the Glenwood Maintenance Facility. And now that we know what we have in that end of the valley and that end of our region, we wanted to reevaluate the needs at the Aspen Maintenance Facility. And so some of those, so this process we felt like would be a prudent measure taken before moving forward with any roof replacement, because the needs could impact some of the requirements of that. And so we do have a team with the Farnsworth Group identified through our task order that we're working on. And there's the plan would have conceptual designs and site plans, and it would include phasing and implementation plans based on priorities. And so that will help us try to be more intentional about how we recommend investments in some of the replacements in that facility. The timeline you could see in the bullet points there is that we would hope to move forward with this notice to proceed as soon as we move the funds. It says by the end of July. I think that was like the cutoff, but sooner could be better, just to help with the process. And the final bullet says the final deliverable would be mid-February 2026. And the benefit of keeping that time frame is that that'll help us position ourselves as we approach the next cycle of strategic initiatives and the budget cycle for 2027. The estimated cost is around $216,000, as it says there. And in terms of, and the reason why this isn't part of the financial update is we wanted to recommend that we use existing budget that the board has already approved in our 2025 budget. And we've identified roughly $39,000 of savings. But then the remaining $177,000, we would recommend to reallocate a portion of the existing budget for that GMF phases 6 and 8 project, which that is the project that we had included in the budget. And that is the project that we do have the $32.8 million of federal grant awards that are currently frozen. And in the spirit of moving it forward without necessarily taking a budget amendment now, we would like to reallocate those funds to move this initiative forward to position us in the next cycle for planning. We do recognize that if GMF phases 6 and 8, that project moves forward, when that happens, we would have to reevaluate the numbers and just and take a supplemental budget resolution to the board at that later time. So I just wanted to, that's a lengthy description of that particular project, but we wanted to make sure that we spoke about it because it wasn't something that we did during the budget presentation, but I just wanted to share how we got to where we are now.
Right. Are you looking for a thumbs up from us or just
Yeah, just to clarify, so we're not looking for any additional money, funding for this effort. We just, whenever we move funds from one account to another, we just, for transparency's sake, we want to let you know so that you're aware of how those funds are being used.
Question, I remember when we were talking about re-roofing our Public Works building, we talked about putting solar panels on the roof, and I think we did to some extent. And as we're trying to create net zero buildings or reduce our footprint for each, is that a consideration? Is that?
Yes.
That's in there, isn't it?
Well, those are the types of questions we need answered before we know how to replace the roof. Is it going to include solar? Because if it does, then that's a completely different roof.
Yeah.
So those are the types of questions that we need answered before we can start making some of these capital investments.
Well, when you're doing that, just want to encourage you to reach out to CORE early on because CORE may actually be able to come up with some funding for that sort of thing.
Okay.
So great. Thank you. Other comments or questions? Rachel?
Yeah, thank you. And I apologize for, again, being not there in person, but not spreading the bug is a better alternative. I'm not as familiar with this project, and I don't really need a long answer, but I'm wondering, because Pickens County was doing master planning of its public works facility in its land, trying to see if there was availability for the county to move forward with any housing there. And I was wondering whether, given the change in the Glenwood Station and things like that, is there as much need for as large a parking lot areas that are at that facility in Aspen or at the Airport Business Center rather? And is there going to be potentially reduced in size for what RFTA's future needs are and potentially, again, make land available that might be for future RFTA housing needs? I forgot to mention, we should all mention congratulations to our staff for getting that legislation passed on the affordable housing in Glenwood and the sales tax issue. That was a great effort by all board members and everyone else. But I'm just wondering, is there a brief description of what we're trying to accomplish at the AABC and whether the entire size of that facility is needed for and the parking particularly was quite a bit for its future?
Yes, those are certainly the types of questions that we hope to answer through this master planning effort. It's we haven't looked at the AMF facility and how it meets our service needs since we've completed the expansion at our Glenwood Maintenance Facility. There are deficiencies at the AMF currently in terms of our ability to operate all of our fuel types. We can only currently operate electric and diesel vehicles out of that facility. So being able to review that, seeing what types of upgrades might be needed at that facility or downgrades in terms of activities that don't need to occur there because we have other options now in Glenwood Springs. So whether we want solar on the roof or don't want solar on the roof. So there's a number of questions that are outstanding that we'd like to answer before we start making capital investments into that property.
Yeah, okay, that's great. And I'll spend more time with you, Kurt, getting a little more up to speed. But again, I think it's important to look at what Pitkin County has been able to do with their master plan there and think about whether there actually might be a whole new entrance or a way to combine the two land masses that are best for both organizations. It might be really impossible or random, but having been out there a lot to both facilities over the years, it just seems to make sense to see if there's any sort of combined benefit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think if there's no more questions, that concludes our CEO report.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this point, we've got an executive session on the calendar pursuant to CRS 246402443A2, matters concerning potential litigation. Executive session with Paul Tadoon. I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session, and I'll be asking to clear the room of anybody but board and essential staff.
Yeah, I think in connection with the,
Have a second, and Paul, something else?
yeah, in connection with our dispute with the Department of Revenue. That's the specific matter.
Okay, great, good. It'll be great to have an update on that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you, everybody for coming.
That hasn't happened.
Motion.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor? That was a second. Colin?
Oh, thank you.
All right, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
thank you all. Our next meeting is sometime soon next month, probably the third Thursday.
Says it on the back of the agenda.
It's right here. Thank you. I had it in front of me and then I put it away. It's like my brain, July 10th.
So I won't be here.
She'll be in Europe, touring Europe, eating pastries and drinking wine. Somebody has to do it.
Have so much fun.
I know, that's going to be great.
I also am not anticipating being there in person. I will be at a Club 20 summer policy meeting on that Thursday. I have asked my alternate if he's going to be there, and he was not sure. So I think we may be able to Zoom in, but it'll be limited.
Thanks,
And
Rachel.
I'll let Nicole know that. Thank you.
We'll
To adjourn.
see if we have a quorum. Motion to adjourn. All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all.